Hi everyone. So I'm sorry I didn't have a video this weekend. I was gonna do one on Saturday night with my friends at a restaurant in Chinatown in Philly. But it was really cramped space and we kind of were just like super in the moment and enjoying each other's company. And I wanted to ask permission from the restaurant owners or like the server or whatever, just in case. I mean, I was sitting in the back corner, but I didn't want to film their food or anything like that without permission. So it just slipped my mind and I didn't. And then Sunday, I got to spend time with some family that I haven't seen in a very long time and don't get to see regularly. And then Sunday, because of spending the day in Philly with my friends and losing my voice, I napped on Sunday afternoon and just kind of recharged my batteries and kept the day to myself. It's really nice having 2 days off in a row. I haven't had that in a couple of years. So anyway, I posted on Twitter earlier today asking about what people wanted me to talk about tonight, what I could talk about tonight, or if I should just do my usual, which is talk about anything. So I was at work and I had an idea, and so I took notes just because I wanted to get it all out on paper. Yeah. So anyway, there's and someone at work kind of inspired this because I have a lot of pictures at my desk up on my wall, and various family members, different activities, different places. I have a mini poster of a Monet painting, one of his sunset studies of Montmartre something, or I don't remember where it is. It's not the Notre Dame sunset studies. But anyway, so, and I remember somebody asking me about one of my sunset photos, where it was taken, and a picture of my dog, and they said, people photograph the things that they love. And these are all pictures from, I think the oldest picture there is from 3 years ago. I don't really have any recent pictures because they're all people and they're all places that mean a lot to me. And so I looked through my camera roll a little bit and looked at what I've been taking pictures of. And it's a lot of random stuff, a lot of screenshots of things that don't want to forget or things like that. But then it's a lot of selfies. And I was like, I don't know if this is vain or not, if this is a sense of vanity or if it's self-love. And it's definitely a controversial topic at that point, the level to what I was thinking of. And you know what? I take a lot of selfies. I do. Especially when I think my makeup or my hair looks nice or I like my outfit. And not necessarily that that's vain. I mean, to me, it's not. To somebody else, it might be. But for me, and this kind of goes back to my intro video where I was talking about how I was going to talk about my story. I gave up a lot of myself and I'm afraid of losing myself again. So when I like the way I look, when I like what I'm wearing, and I don't care what I'm wearing in public, that I don't necessarily mind somebody might see me that way because I like what I'm doing. I like how I look. I like what I'm wearing. I don't want to give up my self-identity again. I don't want to do that again. I don't. I've grown to a point of loving myself and finding myself again. And giving up your self-identity, obviously it's a very unhealthy habit in any sort of relationship, friendship, romantic, love, anything like that. It's not good. Don't do it. For me, I gave up a lot of my independence. And being independent and having independence in a relationship, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a romantic relationship or a work relationship, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. In a healthy relationship, you can be independent but still together. whether you don't live together or if it's a long-term or long-distance relationship, you have similarities and similar interests, and that's what brought you together, and that's what made you realize that, oh wow, I have a lot in common with this person. And having things in common is not a bad thing, but it's not like you have to match in every way. You don't. You simply don't. And common likes like pizza, or common dislikes like sushi. For example, I know a lot of people that like sushi or don't like sushi, and I know a lot of people that do like sushi. And the people that don't like sushi, they're never going to like it. I've tried for years and they're never going to like it, and that's fine. But I love it. And so I have friends that I go get sushi with, and I have friends that I don't even invite when we go out for sushi, if that's what my sushi liking friends are hungry for, because why bother? Why bother inviting them to something that they're not going to enjoy and they're not going to be able to eat? Or make them feel ostracized. I don't do it. I just avoid the situation. Or I'll go get sushi by myself and just avoid the entire conflict. You don't have to have everything in common with your best friend, your boyfriend, your partner, parents, etc. You don't. I love my time to myself. I love reading. I'm not in a book club because I like reading at my own pace. I like reading by myself. If I want to talk about it, I can go online and find a blog and talk about it, and that's fine. Or if I want to catch up on a TV show or binge watch a TV show that nobody else really likes or enjoys, that's my time to myself. I don't have to share that. Common interests help spark conversations. So, like when you first meet somebody, when you first start dating, you find things that you like to do together. And that creates memories, and that creates a lasting bond. Uncommon shared interests make people closer. Like specific niche interests. Like, for example, for me, 80s sci-fi movies. Cyborg, Time Cop, basically anything that Jean-Claude Van Damme starred in the 80s. I love them. I think they're terrible, but they're so good. Like, they're amazingly terrible, and I love them. Like Back to the Future, Cyborg 1 and 2, the Terminator movies, Star Wars. I don't know. It's just a very specific type of movie that I enjoy watching because I think it's funny. Common non-mainstream or deviant interests, like, they create camaraderie with people, and you develop trust between those people because it's something that's not common. It's something that's considered deviant by social norms. Like off-roading, Jeep clubs, motorcycle clubs, K-pop, romance novels, paranormal romance novels, sci-fi shows. For example, my brother has a cat named Inara, and if you've never seen the show Firefly, you're not going to understand that reference. But if you have, you're like, oh my God, that's such a pretty name for a cat. I love my fur niece. She is the best. She's so cute. I love her and her big yellow eyes. She's adorable. But anyway, like anime, manga, cosplay, Comic-Con, being a furry, it's serious deviant behavior. And when you meet somebody else who's a furry, you're like, oh my God, did we just become best friends? Yup. Obviously, I'm not. But doing the things you like by yourself, like if you go to furry conventions by yourself, if you go to Comic-Con by yourself, if you cosplay by yourself, that's your thing. Absolutely. Go do it. And that's a form of self-love. Absolutely. Like, I love going out to eat by myself. Food is one of my love languages. I've said it a lot. I say it a lot. I love cooking. I love cooking for other people, especially. But then there's times where I like really specific flavors of things, and I wouldn't necessarily call them strange, but they're not necessarily normal. For example, I love lavender, the lavender flavor. I love the flower as well, but lavender specifically, creme brulee, with blackberries is my favorite dessert. And I know of one bakery that has it. One. So I'm going to go by myself because it's a treat myself kind of thing. And that's specifically what I'm going for. Going to concerts by yourself. I've done that. whether because my friends couldn't financially afford it or because it was a group that they didn't follow to the point that I did. And you make friends and acquaintances instantly because it's a very specific thing that you're interested in. Independence is not a bad thing to me because I'd sacrificed mine for the wrong reasons and the wrong person. And I've got that back. I have my independence back. Is it still an unhealthy relationship if you're happy? Food for thought. On that note, is it still a healthy relationship if you're unhappy but there's nothing wrong? And who decides if it's normal or right? And it's societal norms. And if you've never taken a sociology class, please take a sociology class because you're gonna understand more of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna talk about this a lot. It was my major in college. Sociology. That's why I'm working in customer service. But take those classes because they'll help you understand what I'm trying to get across at this point in the video. But that's not the point of this video. If you're comfortable or happy, stay. And that includes friendships. This includes friendships too, in addition to romantic relationships. And if you're uncomfortable or unhappy, leave. Like, for example, people are now not going to traditional family Thanksgivings because they'd rather spend time with their friends. Because they don't think that they have a comfortable relationship or they're unhappy with their families. And if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel comfortable, don't go. Don't put yourself in that situation. And this goes for any situation, even work. I mean, if you're going to work and you're uncomfortable or you're not happy, find another job. If something is irritating, or if you're irritated by something, or if somebody has a behavior that they're doing that you don't like, is it temporary? And I wrote this down, and I love this. Pearls are grains of sand that irritate oysters. Just because you're upset over something small doesn't mean you should throw out the whole thing because it could turn into something beautiful. When I wrote that, I paused. I told you guys in the intro video, sometimes I say profound stuff. That's profound stuff. Do what makes you happy because that's yours. That's the best type of self-love. Look into yourself and find what makes you happy and what makes you truly happy and not just content. Don't lose yourself trying to make yourself fit the mold somebody else has, because forget fitting into molds. Don't look at ideal types. Don't sit there and say, oh, well, all of his ex-girlfriend have this in common. Like, so what? If you click, you click. It'll work out if it's meant to be. And if you don't work at it, it's not going to work. 2 more pages, guys. Deal with me. This is for friendships and work relationships and romantic relationships. This is for anything. If you're not clicking at work, if you're not clicking with your boss, either have a conversation with them or just find another job. You don't have to be there if you're not happy. You don't have to be friends with people if you're not happy. You can limit your time with them. Are you content or are you happy? Because there is a difference. Somebody in college asked me if I was happy. And I said, I'm content, and for now that's enough. And at that point, I hadn't really come to terms with my depression as a thing yet. And being content and admitting that I was only just content was the first time I realized that I wasn't textbook definition happy. And it concerned me. And so I kind of looked into the things that I said made me happy, the things that I said I liked, what my likes and dislikes were, and music I said I liked, and searched for what I honestly enjoyed before I was in the toxic relationship. And I found a deficit. I did. I found that I was lacking just in every way, and I didn't like it. I started to exercise because I needed to build my endorphins to kind of make me happier, because I couldn't necessarily figure out what was missing. and I didn't want to be medicated. I didn't want to go. I wasn't ready to admit that I had depression yet. That came 3 years later, 3.5 years later, something like that. I didn't want to admit that I had a problem. I didn't want to admit that I had depression. I didn't want to admit that I was broken. Anyway, so find your happy. Find yours. Find your thing that makes you truly happy, and make sure that it's a healthy habit, obviously. Don't abuse it, and don't turn it into a crutch. Do not, because that's what I did with exercise. I turned it into a very unhealthy habit. And I actually tore my rotator cuff because of it. So be careful. If you choose to exercise to build up your endorphins, just be gentle. This is all what happens when you have downtime at your new job. This is why you write 4.5 pages front and back of notes on what to talk about for a video. But I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to be able to make people happy. I've always wanted to make their lives better. And for a very brief period of time, I thought that was stand-up comedy. And I do have moments where I am funny. I love puns and dad jokes. The more punny and the more dad jokey, the better. I love it. But maybe this is how I'll do that. Maybe this channel is how I'm going to be able to achieve that dream that I put as my objective on all my resumes. By telling my story and sharing my thoughts. And obviously this is my beliefs, this is my opinions. But they might help somebody. They might teach you something new. They might teach you how to look at things differently, help you shed light on a situation, or give you an unbiased third-party opinion. I took notes tonight because I wanted to have an outline of what I wanted to say. I wanted to be able to collect my thoughts better, because I came up with a really good idea for a video on Friday night on the way home from work, and it's only a 20-minute drive, and it was 8 o'clock at night on Friday, and I had totally forgotten it by the time I got home. So today I wrote it down. But anyway, so let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about, if there's a topic you want me to talk about, if you want me to share more of my story, in the comments here or on Twitter, and I can ramble again and maybe help someone else. So thank you so much for listening and for hearing me ramble for almost 20 minutes. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something, and I hope this helps. So, good night.